The opinions expressed on the Custody Queen Show are for informational purposes only and are not a substitute for personal, professional legal advice. The persons discussed are fictional and not based on actual clients.
Thought it was love, had kids in between. You can count on us, we're the Custody Queens. Yeah, you can count on us, we're the Custody Queens.
All right, everyone, we are back on another great Saturday with Kristen and my dear friend Ashley Watkins. We are the Custody Queens, and we are so happy to have another Saturday here with you guys. Thank you for joining us, Ash.
It's good to be back again.
Good morning, everybody.
All right, for everyone who doesn't know Ashley, she's been on the show a couple of times. Not only, again, is she our dear friend, she's also an amazing personal injury attorney. She has a law firm in California and in Las Vegas.
Sam and Ash.
Yeah.
Right? You
Not
can't
this
forget
Sam.
it.
Different Sam.
Different Sam. But thanks for having me, guys. It's always fun.
And if you've ever driven down Vegas through the Strip, you will probably see about 45 pictures of Ashley on the billboards. She is everywhere to be seen, but the work product and the quality of work always matches the personality, so I'm always happy to send her our referrals.
And you might even see Rocky, her dog,
my dog.
on a billboard, the most famous dog in the world.
He is. He gets more love around town than I do. I show up places and they get mad when I don't have him. So. But I want to start. I hear there's kind of a tradition. There's a CQ talk box. So I have a question. Are you guys ready?
Yeah, and for everyone listening that is new to our show, for everyone else that's been listening for a while, you guys are getting used to it. It's just, the CQ Talk Box is a fun way for us to break the ice with either new people that we haven't had a conversation with in a while or family members. And it's just a way to kind of get beneath the surface and just kind of really get into conversations and age-appropriate conversations.
I love it. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. What habits are you proud of and which do you want to change?
Am I going first or is Kristen
You're
going
going
all you.
first.
All right, what habits am I proud of? Well, I don't know that this is something to be proud of, but I think I'm proud of my work ethic. Like I'm a workaholic. Is that something to be proud of?
You're very disciplined.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm disciplined. So I'm proud of that. Habit that I would like to break the most, I think both of you know it.
Is your eyebrow?
Plucking out my eyebrows. Ladies and gentlemen, when I am really stressed, I just start tearing those things out, and you can tell if I'm having a really bad day because I will go partially bald over it. So I'm working on that one. I'm getting better. I almost got a full set back with a little help from our makeup team. I do, in fact, have a full set today, but...
Well, you know how we always say that I can walk in Sam's office and usually just tell her mood just from looking at her face? Well, if you walk in her office and she's picking her eyebrow, that is a sign to just shut the door and
Run.
walk right back out.
Run, don't walk.
That's happened to me quite a few times this year, but it happened very recently. I walked in and I'm like, "Hey, Sam, how are you?" And she's sitting, over her desk and she's just plucking. I'm like, "Okay, that good.
Yeah,
all right,
all right,
we'll catch
we'll
up
see you
tomorrow."
later.
It's because you care. It's
Yes,
because you care.
yes, I desperately care.
All right, Kristen, your turn. What habits are you proud of and which do you want to change?
Well, mine is probably similar to Sam's that I'm proud of. I have a very good work ethic as well, disciplined as well. I get up, every morning, whether I want to or not, and face the day. So that's something I am proud of. Sometimes you just have to put your emotions aside, or if you're not feeling well and you just have to keep going and you just kind of got to push through. And that's something I'm proud of, and I think I'm instilling that in my kids, that if you commit to something, you finish it, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, you do it.
You're also a great mom.
Thank you. Something I hate about myself,
No, not hate about yourself.
a habit.
Which habit do you want to change?
So a habit that I would like to change I think this started like in high school when I would fall asleep. I had one of those little tiny TV VCRs in my room. I don't even know if I had cable, but it was one of those combos, and I have to fall asleep to noise. But it's gotten so bad that what helps me fall asleep is also the same thing that keeps me awake all night, and I probably don't get more than 4 hours of straight sleep on any given night.
But I think it's got to be the type of noise, because you're not you can't put on like a peaceful rainforest in the background and fall asleep,
I
right?
have
you
to
need
have the
Bravo.
Yeah, or
I was gonna ask, what's your go-to?
honestly, it's funny because like I'll be watching a show and then I will turn it to something more boring on my iPad, which of course is like, probably 2 feet from my face. I did put it on the dark screen, so I don't have that green light. But I'll go put on a documentary just so I can listen. But my brain, in silence, oh my gosh, I've tried counting cows or goats or whatever you're supposed to do.
It's sheep.
Sheep.
That's the problem.
Sheep. There you go, sheep.
You're not counting sheep, Kristen.
I have been to doctors and psychologists and, and then I kind of walk in and I said, okay, well, nothing's going to change overnight. So what's the quick fix here? But, I was just doing it last night. I was actually watching this great documentary. It was actually about Figo, the soccer player. And it's like half Spanish, half English. So when I was watching it, you have to really pay attention. But then when I go to fall asleep, I said, okay, let me put on like season 1 of Grey's Anatomy because I can just listen.
Yeah.
I don't have
Some
to
mellow
watch.
hospital trauma.
But, you wake up and then it's still going. And I'm like, this is so bad for me.
Have you heard of a sleep timer?
Is there one on your iPad?
Yeah, I think so. You can on Netflix and everything. They have options for it to end after that current episode.
Oh, okay. Well, I do that sometimes because I usually have it where it just keeps playing. But sometimes if I remember, I will go to do that.
Okay. Well, this was fun. I like your talk box.
So
Well, what about you,
What
Ash?
about you,
Oh,
Ash?
I was trying to get out of
Every
it. I
type A
know.
personality has some good ones.
What habit am I proud of? I've really worked on being present with friends and family when I'm out with them. I realized when I got out of law school and I started my career, I really loved what I did so much that it would bleed into my personal life, whether it was relationships with just friends, significant others, family. And so now if I'm at the dinner table with any of those, I really try to put my phone away, either in a purse, face down, on silent. And clients now know that after hours, I will still get to them as soon as I can, but I'm working on those boundaries. So that's what I'm proud of right now because I think it hurt some of my personal relationships for a while.
Is that why you're not answering my phone calls?
Yeah, exactly. But you get to enjoy it when we go out to dinner. I'm there.
Yeah, and
Are
I
you?
think we're all guilty of that. And then I think you just hit a point where you're like, it can wait till tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you realize that you're never going to clear your inbox. I think early on as a lawyer out of law school, you expect at some point I'm going to catch up to everything.
Yeah.
And then someone just has to tell you you're never fully caught up. There's always something new. And so you've got to learn to create those boundaries. So that's what I'm proud of. And then which do I want to change? I am guilty of the multiple morning alarms.
Oh, you're my husband.
So, yeah, I will have an alarm and then I will snooze for easily an hour. But I know that about myself. I need to kind of ease my way into the day. But if I wanted to, I think I could change it.
When you say that you snooze for an hour, does that mean that every 8 minutes for an hour
Yes.
you snooze?
Okay,
It does. And I know it's ridiculous, so please don't at me.
So annoying. My husband. Okay, me.
I do it too.
Me.
I'm not trying to change
If I
it,
have
though.
to get up at like 5, I will set an alarm as a backup. But for almost 43 years, I've not ever used a consistent alarm. My husband, on the other hand, okay, say he has to be up at 6:45, it'll go off at 6, 6:10, 6:20, 6:25, 6:30, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're just fighting the inevitable.
I'm worse than
just
that.
get up.
Not only do I snooze, but I also have already set alarms at like 6, 6:05,
Oh,
6.
it annoys the living
So
crap out
it's
of
like
me.
every 30 seconds that thing's going off, but I can sleep through it.
Me, like,
Oh.
even if I have soccer, I'm meant to be at the field sometimes at 6:30 in the morning on a Saturday, I will set it, and I am up like that first beep, like fly out of bed. Beep, okay. I don't even need the other 10 beeps.
I think I wake up often before the first alarm. It's just I am delaying the inevitable. But if I have something I actually need to be at, if it's court and it's a hard timeline where I need to be there on time or I'm late and it's bad, not good, I will get up, get going, move on. But for the average morning when I can fluctuate coming in 15, 10 minutes later or earlier, I'm a snoozer.
I actually am somewhat jealous because I wish I could probably snooze a little bit
Do
more.
not. Because you don't get actual sleep. It's just delaying.
I've been saying that to my husband for the last 15 years. All you're doing is delaying the inevitable. Just get up. I have not won that
And
battle.
he's telling you just go to sleep.
Yeah, he's telling me, just sleep. No, our
I love
15-year
this.
anniversary is coming up. And I'm sitting there going, I literally for 15 years have been fighting you on that darn snooze clock.
That darn snoozle clock.
There you go. Well, this is fun. I like your CQ talk box. These cards are good.
Thanks, Ash. We
I like
like
'em.
it.
And we have one, for adults, and then we have ones for kids. And I always try to say, with my 9-year-old, she's evolving. And so I can have more grown-up conversations, but still keep them within the age group.
Yeah.
All right, Ash. So I want to ask you some questions about personal injury.
Okay.
But I want to ask you fun questions because I feel like we all know the regular, boring personal injury questions. And so the first question I want to ask you, you're licensed in both California and Nevada.
I am.
Okay. Do you think there's an advantage to being injured in one state or the other, and why?
Well, first of all, the disclaimer and caveat on all of this is personal injuries they're not a joking matter. I mean, people do get hurt, but on this sense, in Nevada, it is much more plaintiff or injury victim friendly. There tends to be more favorable laws. The most common one that you're seeing is right now in California, the state minimum insurance policies are $15,000, $30,000 for liability. It's per person per occurrence, and right now here in Nevada, it is $25.50. So basically what that means is if you get into an auto accident and someone caused it and they have the state minimum requirement of liability insurance here in Nevada, you're able to recover more money than you would be in California. So I would say if you're going to get into a small fender bender, Nevada's the better place to do it.
And I obviously agree with you, Ashley. No injury is funny at all.
I know.
But we're trying to get creative here and come up with some sort of facts about personal injury because, I very much believe in your firm, but there are a lot of personal injury firms out there. We drive down the highway, you see a billboard, and you kind of hear the same stuff. So what I think Kristen and I are trying to do today is kind of get a little deeper into the personal injury realm and educate people. Kristen and I really care deeply about educating everyone, and so educating people regarding maybe the nuances of the law.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. Billboards are inevitable. You'll see mine in Las Vegas, and it's just a reality that we have to play into in order to let people know the services we can offer and how they can reach out to us. One of the big differences, and I'm sure you both can speak to it on the family law and custody side of things, is a lot of it comes down to the law firm and the law firm's culture and their mantra on how they handle clients and how they treat their clients and the customer service aspect of it, because that is, I would say, is the biggest difference between what my firm does versus what other law firms do, is we're very customer service oriented. I joke that we're the In-N-Out, the Chick-fil-A of personal injury.
Are you closed on Sundays?
No, we're not.
Okay, because Chick-fil-A
That's why I
is.
said In-N-Out, or, they're both there, but we just try to make sure that we're hearing what the needs are of each individual client and servicing that in the best way possible. Whereas I think a lot of personal injury firms, they're in it for the money.
The
and
ambulance chasing?
Yeah, and like the quick buck, because there are situations where you can make money as an attorney relatively quickly in a personal injury case. There are a lot of cases where you can't. So I think there are lawyers out there that are in it for the wrong reasons. And unfortunately, a lot of clients and injury victims find themselves retaining those lawyers, and then they don't know what to expect. They don't know that they're entitled to receive top-notch service and care and getting a phone call back or an email back. And I'm sure you guys see that too.
Well, that was going to be my question to you, is what makes you different? I know what makes you guys different, because Ash is the first call that I make if someone ever texts me, and I don't even generally know the extensiveness of the damage or the injury. I'm just getting a call or a text from a friend or a friend of a friend, and I always send them to Ash, and she'll call or text them, whether it's Monday through Sunday or even if it's late at night. But, everyone's probably driven down the freeway, you see an accident, and all of a sudden, there's probably 4 cars that pull over, and one of them is probably an attorney trying to slip the card in there, because it is easy sometimes. I can deal with that insurance company, I can get in and out, and I can make, a couple $1,000 and call it a day. But those attorneys don't give 2 craps about the victim whatsoever.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's something we deal with a lot in both California and Nevada, where you have a tow truck driver who he or she is getting paid a certain sum of money for every accident victim that they end up getting sent to a specific attorney. And so it's illegal and it's really shady, but those people that are in those accidents, they don't know it's illegal. They don't know how else to find a injury attorney.
No,
and
they
so
just probably think someone's
they're like,
doing them a solid. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Yeah, so if your tow truck driver or ambulance or someone in the hospital is telling you to call a specific attorney, it's illegal, and the lawyer is currently now in Nevada guilty of a misdemeanor and then soon to be a felony. So it's really a lucrative business, but it's illegal. And so make sure you're finding an attorney that it's personal. You really want to find someone that matches your personal ideals, beliefs, and systems. And some people need different things. So I always suggest when you're hiring an attorney, whether it's family law, business related, personal injury, do your research, talk to them, interview them. And if they don't have time to interview you and meet with you, that's a great sign of, maybe that's not the lawyer for you.
Yeah, and all the people that I referred, I've never heard anything but good things from them. Even if it's something, sometimes it may not even be something they can help with, but they're just making them feel better about the situation. And Sam and I, there's definitely a few of these in the family law arena as well. Imagine paying an attorney. You're cashing out your portion of your 401k that you've been saving. You're taking out $7,500 for a retainer, and you have an attorney who comes in, doesn't know your kids' names, doesn't know what's going on in your life, basically causes havoc, and then gets off your case as soon as the hearing's over, and you don't even know what you've been billed for. And oftentimes you're in a worse situation than you were when that attorney came on. And Sam and I can usually see it a mile away, and it's like, well, let's just hold our breath. He'll be gone in a couple months, or she'll be gone in a couple months. But, investing in an attorney is so much more than just paying the retainer.
So what about changing attorneys?
I was going to ask you that.
So Kristen and I always talk about red flags, pink flags, and what happens when you have retained an attorney, and I'll ask Kristen this question next, but what happens when you've retained an attorney, or you had an accident, you retained an attorney? What do you look for as a pink flag or a warning sign? How do you know if things are going the right way?
A quick one is communication. It's the same in your personal life and relationships. If someone's not returning a phone call or an email, that's a pink flag. If it's one and it's taking a few days, I'd give them a chance. If they're not following up eventually after repeated efforts to try and communicate about your case, that's a bold red flag. And in the personal injury situation, it's really easy. Call another lawyer that you think could help you. We field these phone calls all the time where someone goes, I've got a lawyer, they're not returning my phone calls, here's what they've told me, X, Y, and Z. And we go, oh, well, give us, ask for your file, send it over, we'll review it. And sometimes, rarely, but sometimes we tell them all that needs to happen is, a check needs to be sent, and that's why you're almost done. Just follow up, so go back. But other times we will, and oftentimes take over that case and handle it. And it's not a burden on the client. They don't have to pay more money. They don't have to do any extra work. We do all of that. But like Kristen was saying, sometimes the lawyer that they first retain's already done so much damage that it's a lot of work for us as second or third in line to fix and make right.
And then we have to make that conscious decision if it's an investment or a good opportunity for us as business people to take on that case. Because sometimes we get cases and it's like, once permanent orders have been made, it's like, oh, what I could have prevented from happening had you called me or Sam, 6 months prior. But shoulda, woulda, coulda, hindsight, we all know what that is. So is it as easy in family law to do a substitution of attorney? Is that how it works with the change?
If the case is in litigation, yeah, it's just that form where the client and the current attorney sign it, and then the new one signs it, and you file it. And so that's really easy. But most of our cases don't even go to court. 95% are pre-litigation. So in that sense, all it is you go find a new lawyer. The new lawyer and you agree on a retainer agreement, you sign it, and then they will handle the breakup. We always joke, you don't have to break up with your current lawyer, we do it for you.
So we joke with that too. It's so that I just say, you just have to sign the form. We'll do all the dirty work.
Yep, exactly.
And it amazes me too, is sometimes people have gotten, fairly bad service, and they're still worried about breaking up with the attorney. And I
Or
said,
they're holding on because they don't know any different.
yeah. And I said, you know what? This is so common in our industry. Sometimes attorneys get burnt out. When we've had cases for, several years, we might not have the same fight we had 4 years ago. Sometimes we might not see eye to eye, but it's very common to change attorneys at some point.
What would you say, Kristen, is a big red flag that a client or a person going through a divorce should look for in needing to change an attorney?
I thought you were going to ask me what's a big red flag for me as an attorney on a client that I shouldn't take.
I mean, you could answer
Oh,
both.
that's a good one.
All right, I'm going to go that way because I was already kind of thinking there. So if I have a couple good ones, but if a client calls me and they said, well, you're going to be my 6th attorney, and I'm suing the last one, and I made a state bar complaint, and you know what? It's everyone's fault but mine. Yeah, you probably won't get a follow-up call from me at that point, because if you've had 6 attorneys at some point, you need to look in the mirror. You might be part of the problem. 1, maybe 2, I can still have an objective position and we can see what's going on. But you really have to take a hard look at yourself. Another one is when during the consult, it's, well, he doesn't deserve any time and he's been doing this and this, so he's never going to see the kids.
Unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, unrealistic expectations or egos or using the children as a possessory tool. There's so many things, but if I do not believe that I'm going to be able to educate you to a point that you're going to understand the big picture, then we're not going to be a good fit.
What are your red flags in a prospective client that you're thinking of retaining, or for a client to get out and get a new lawyer?
I think this would go both ways. And I think really it's part of what Kristen said, but it's establishing expectations. So if I'm having a conversation with a client and look, Kristen and I are going to tell you the truth, and you probably aren't going to like that right away, but in the long run, it is in your best interest to understand how your facts intertwine with the law and sort of embolden people to make meaningful decisions that are also in line with California law, where Kristen and I practice. It's really important to hone in on that and to have clients understand that we still have a playbook that we have to follow. And if you have someone that just will not accept that, no, this is what I want, this is what I need, then not only are we not a good fit, it's probably, unfortunately, not going to work out the way you want in court. And then, the reverse is true, right? If you're contacting an attorney and the attorney is saying, I 100% guarantee you I'm going to get you this is the outcome you're going to get, that's a huge red flag too. I don't know how personal injury works. I'm assuming it's somewhat similar. But in family law, if you have an attorney that is saying you are guaranteed to get this result, probably a red flag. There are a couple of guarantees, and there's certainly attorneys that can understand, especially if you're in a particular courthouse, hey, this judge is probably going to do this, or this is what normally happens, this is the industry standard, but there really are no absolutes and no guarantees. So I think there has to be kind of an equal-ish playing field for expectations.
Yeah.
What about you, Ash?
Ooh, with prospective clients, when I'm going through that interview process, like you, if it's an expectations issue, or one of the biggest red flags is when they want to punish the other side.
Yes.
When they're looking at me as a hired gun to punish whoever ran into their vehicle or put the water on the floor, etc., whatever the situation is, I have to step back and go, that's not what we're here for. The process is about your injuries, your recovery, compensating you, and it's not necessarily about them, because this isn't an intentional issue. And that's always a red flag for me. And a lot of times clients don't understand the process, so it's a misunderstanding, but when it's not, I usually don't. I tell them there's lots of lawyers. All right, just drive down the street. You can find a billboard of someone that'll take that. So,
No, when people call and say, well, I've heard you're a real bulldog or a real shark,
Yeah.
I kind of chuckle because am I direct? Yes. Can I be aggressive when I need to be? Yes. But I don't wake up in the morning going, I can't wait to go in court and just destroy that person. That's not the same what you just said, Ash. That's not what this is about.
Yeah, and I've had clients throughout the process later on in the case where I've retained them and we're working through a result and I'm explaining the pending outcome, and they go, I thought you were a bulldog. I thought you were a shark. Like, you can do this. And I go, then you have to explain the law, the facts, and how it all plays out. And so I go, this isn't about me not being a shark or not being a bulldog. This is the best outcome.
Right.
And so I always tell clients, don't be an obstacle to yourself, and help
That's a good
yourself,
line.
you know? Don't be your own worst enemy in this process. Getting a lawyer is difficult. Going through any legal process is difficult. You're paying money, whether it's upfront through retainers or you're doing it on a contingency fee basis, like with personal injury, but you're still paying them, and so trust them. And if you're not going to trust them, don't do it.
All right, Ashley, I'm going to ask you a question, and it doesn't have to be one of your clients. It can just be a story that you've heard.
Okay.
But what is the most interesting or odd or strange injury case that you've heard of or had?
Oh, this is interesting, and maybe your SoCal listeners will get a little concerned, but I had a young female who was going in before her wedding for a little bit of filler just to, even the surface.
I'm already scared.
Yeah, and instead of the filler, the doctor injected the dissolving solution, and so it created almost like pits in her skin right before her wedding day. So that was the weirdest one. I had never...
And dissolving is sometimes when you get too much, they have to dissolve some of the filler that's in you.
Yes, so the dissolving solution's there to get rid of the filler that's already there, but if you don't have filler in there, then it's dissolving tissue. And so that was probably one of the kind of more strange ones and unique injury cases that I dealt with. And then also early on, I had a girl who had an eye issue, and I learned that eye injuries were not as, the compensation and the jury value of a singular eye injury wasn't that high because you have two of them.
Wow.
Yeah,
Just throw a patch on and we're good.
I was a newbie lawyer,
Wow.
and I was going, give me $1 million. Her eyesight's deteriorated in that right eye, and then some senior lawyer came in and said she still has the left eye, and I remember that moment just going,
Wow.
And that's actually brings up a great point, though. That's a very interesting, I never even considered that. But the point is that the law isn't always what common sense would be. And so I think it's so important for you to make sure that you're getting advice from a quality attorney so that you can really understand what the law is, because sometimes it'll surprise you.
Yeah, and really you just are learning about the arguments that are coming back at you, and that was one of them. I just had no idea what to expect, and that was the defense argument to my...
You got two. You only
Granted,
need one.
it is still an injury, it's worth something, and I just was shocked.
Yeah.
And it's not like they can just put a new, prosthetic eye in and you can see exactly the same.
Yeah, the vision's still different, but when you look at someone, that often you can't tell.
Yeah.
And depth perception's different, but I remember that one really shocked me. When you're learning and practicing early on, you kind of just get hit with a fact and go, okay.
And that just shows you how important too if you have a personal injury case that goes to trial, you have to remember your jury.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what may be important to you, it may be 10 times more important to a jury member, or it may not be as important, but you want an attorney that's going to convey these facts and these emotions to those 12 people.
Absolutely. And I always say every injury is different. A broken pinky to me is not the same value as a broken pinky for a concert pianist. He needs it.
Yeah.
And if you've seen me type, I don't use my pinky.
You actually don't.
And so it's one of those things I always talk to clients about it. I go, every injury is different. So if you had a friend who had a back injury, yours might be valued more or less by a jury. And so it's really
very
a personal
interesting.
process.
What, you don't love those calls where my friend's neighbor got X, Y, and Z?
In 2 days. Yeah.
All right, well, we are out of time. That was a very quick show.
All right, Ash, thank you so much for being on the show. We always love to have you here, and we hope to have you back soon.
hopefully you'll keep me.
All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Please tune in every Saturday at 8:30 a.m. on Go Country 105. If you have questions, please feel free to give us a call at 1-800-419-7772. That's 1-800-419-7772. And remember, let love rule.